Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Pleasure Principles. I'm your host Avik, and today we are diving into something that we all need more of, that is called joy. Yes, we all heard it, right? And in a world that often feels like it's moving too fast, filled with endless responsibilities, pressures, and let's be honest, chaos. And how do we hold on to joy? That's a big question, right? And also, like, how do we cultivate it in the middle of uncertainty, stress, or just the daily grind? Right? I know that these kind of questions are coming to my mind, but to help you with, joining me is someone who knows a thing or two about the passion, resilience, and finding the purpose. Rhonda Parker. So welcome to the show, Rhonda.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here today and so wonderful to have another enlightening conversation with you today. I hope everybody out there is ready to get their courage up and meet your transformation to joy. Sometimes it takes just a little bit of uniting the fire within with little tips and tricks that people do to help themselves and others find the joy or find the journey path, because sometimes it's just about making the journey joyful as we go through. What do you think? Do you think that that would be a great pursuit for everybody?
Exactly. That's awesome, I have to say. And when we have you, then how can we lose this opportunity to discuss and dive deep into this topic? So I'll quickly introduce you first to all the listeners. So, dear listeners, Rhonda is an accomplished writer, entrepreneur, academic researcher with an incredible journey. So from growing up surrounded with the cornfields in Indiana to becoming a internationally recognized thought leader in the emotional intelligence, she's carved out a life of adventure, creativity, and the success. And despite the challenges she's faced, whether in the academics, business, or maybe publishing her debut novel, Crossroads, Rhonda has found ways to hold on to joy and keep moving forward. So today we are going to dig deep into what it really means to find the joy in this crazy, crazy world. So, are you ready? Let's get into this discussion. Welcome to the show again, Rhonda. I can't wait to discuss in details.
Thank you. Thank you. And as you were sitting there talking, I just
Yeah,
thought about just how appreciative it is to have the ability to talk to each other like
yeah.
we've never had before. We're all so
Hmm.
connected. And if we can just learn to appreciate those connections and the small joys and survive the hardships, the uncertainties together, that often brings a heightened awareness for our gratitude. And then we could start things like a gratitude journal or just thinking about the things that are smaller in life that bring us to
Exactly.
everyday moments that really are what life's made of.
Yeah.
It would be so wonderful if and refreshing if we had a perspective of life from just those moments, those connections, those ability to nurture each other so that we all are thriving in our own purpose.
Wow, that's really awesome. And um, I'll quickly come to you and with this because from your life, if I have to say, like your life has been full of pivots, like from fashion merchandising to bu business leadership, and now to writing. I mean, through all these different chapters, what have you found to be the most consistent source of joy for you?
Well, I think that what I found brings the most joy is living intentionally every day. So, we have these big aha moments every once in a
Mm,
while, maybe have one, two, or three of them, a year if you're lucky. Maybe only once in a lifetime. For me, it may be, for instance, my debut novel coming out. But when I go into the daily grind of things and enjoy things like the sky rise, the chipmunk that has a net in his mouth and running through the field that I just caught a glimpse of, or maybe seeing a bird of prey flying with their wings so wide. What I've found that it is the experiences and allowing those moments to be just a little bit longer in my day than rushing through them brings me a deepened awareness of not only my emotions internally, but how I look at the world. Because when I lengthen those times
Yeah.
just a second or two longer, I find that it grabs a hold of my soul and makes it soar.
Hmm.
And I hope everybody out there that's listening can think about those times every day. Look for the three little signs out there that might give you a little bit of joy and gratitude each day that might not be part of your everyday journey.
Hmm. Wow. And also, I mean, it's really great, but you have mentioned that storytelling was something that you were always drawn to. I mean, even when reading, writing felt difficult. So do you think that joy is something that we find, or something that we build for ourselves over the time?
I think it's a little bit of both, because you have to build your joy. You have to find out who you are. You have to reflect on what brings you joy for you actually to be able to experience it. So, for instance, for me, you talked about my journey of writing. I struggled, in my younger years with writing, and I had to really create a process that I could enjoy it while I was struggling. So when you put the processes in place, you're developing yourself, you're building yourself, and then you also find that there's a deepening sense of purpose
Hmm.
when you're improving yourself or experiencing things in all the different aspects of your life. If you, a good example would be, let's say you decide to take a journey for health.
Hmm.
When you first start working out, I don't think there's anybody when they're exercising when they first start that says, "Oh, this is joy." It maybe they're too stiff. Maybe they can't do very much. Maybe, they're not very limber, or the practice of the exercise of, is difficult for them. But you know what? As they continue to develop and they continue to practice it and they embrace the newfound way of facing life, they promote a bodily health and vitality that brings joy. Well, that's any aspect of your life. you know it can be your intellectual growth, it can be your emotional well-being, it can be your personal integrity and learning about who you are and your own values. It could be your romantic partnership, as we talk about the pleasure principles
Yeah.
of life. If you foster those aspects of your life, you learn to find joy in it. So if something's stale in your life, an area of your life, reflect on it and develop it. So I think what you're saying in your question is it one or the other? I think it's both. First, you have to know that you need to develop it, and then it's about fostering it into meaningful connections, intimacy with yourself or others, your spiritual connections being deepened through meditation, through thought process, through senses. So, all of the areas of your life, to find joy in it, requires you to spend time fostering it.
Hmm. It's awesome. Yeah. Also, the creative connection to the happiness. Uh, you finally published Crossroads after 20 years. So that's a long road to seeing a kind of dream come true in life. Uh, so how did that creativity and particularly writing serve as a source of joy for you during that time? What is it?
Well, I think that the journey was part of it. So what I wrote it, and I was like, "Oh, that's all I got to do is I just have to get the novel out." And then I
Yeah.
found a publisher, and we went through a 2-year process. So this is kind of like what I was telling you.
Yeah.
As you develop, you go down this journey, and then sometimes things can happen, and it doesn't quite turn out the way you want, and
Mm.
you end up starting back at step one. You've had that setback. Well, I had a publisher that pulled out of the publishing of Crossroads. So then I I was disillusioned. At first, I didn't find the joy, so I set it aside. But then what ended up happening is, awareness came back. My sister said, "Why aren't you doing anything with it? You've written 5 now. You've
Mm.
got, you just keep on writing, but you're not publishing." So I went back out and found another publisher. But if I had published the first one
Mm.
just like I thought I would have, I would never have experienced getting an endorser like the great Merrill Hemingway. I
Mm.
would have gone with the first publisher, and maybe that might have been it because I wasn't matured in my writing. I wasn't mature in my processing, and I hadn't found people like you where I could talk to people and tell people about my book, where podcasts and I could communicate with people on a level where I could connect with them. So it might not have been as successful as it is today.
Got it. And like a lot of people have creative dreams, but they never take action because of fear or maybe self-doubt. So what's the
Mhm.
biggest mental shift that helped you move forward despite of these obstacles?
Turning that fear into fuel.
Oh.
We hear politicians all the time say, drill, baby, drill, or pump, because fuel is what makes things move, right? Well, for me, that fear I had to realize was the fuel
Mhm.
that needed to give me the courage to step out there on faith that my own abilities would were not going to be what limited me, that
Mm.
I had the abilities, that I was able to get that courage to step out there and make myself vulnerable. And what I found is when I turned it into fuel, I had more control over the storms around me that created my self-doubt. So you have to take that self doubt and say, you know what? I'm aware of my strengths and weaknesses. I can be assertive and create a positive outcome for this. I can respect myself. So sometimes fear and vulnerability can be a downfall for us where we're not giving ourselves our own self-regard to self-actualize ourselves into being who we are intended to be. And
Mm.
then once you accept that, you can go into your interpersonal skills and socialize and adapt to making yourself joyful and successful. That changes the whole stress management aspects of life because usually we get stressed when we have fear, but if we turn it to fuel, then we can have a higher stress tolerance, higher impulse control, and be happier.
Exactly. Wow. Awesome. Yeah. And like one thing that I love about your story is how you always come back to the mentorship, like helping students, young professionals, and even sharing your journey to encourage others. How does giving back contribute to the personal joy?
Well, I think that one thing that we have to realize is our own resilience and ability to bounce back from these different setbacks or daily life and grind is helping others. Helping behaviors bring joy because when we see the other people successfully completing their own journey and enjoying their successes with them, we are giving back not only to ourselves, but we're giving back to our communities and others. So that's part of the value system that brings joy. When someone describes themselves, they should always consider, how am I going to help and give back? That's part of the self actualization principle of life. You know, the pleasure principles, if you look back into theory, is that people have what they call, Maslow's law calls, a hierarchy of needs. The first is safety, security, then it goes to social. And then once you have your social handled, then it becomes giving back. And then only after you give back do you get to the pinnacle and the full purpose of yourself, which is self actualization, which means you're not only happy yourself, you're duplicating the success and happiness with others.
Exactly. And so, looking ahead, what are you most excited about right now?
Well, I am excited about my next book being released, Resilience, which is a self help book on building, repairing, and strengthening so
Mm.
one can dance through the chaos of life
Yeah.
uh, with purpose. My goal is to educate first everybody. What makes a person resilient? What are the pillars? What are the reasons? And what are the tools you have to use, like grit and confidence, and to get us there? So I'm excited and then about releasing it. And then the second half of the book is, let's do this together. There's actual a, like a workbook approach to helping others get out there and become more resilient, repair what sometimes life wears down.
That's really awesome. That's really awesome. I mean, this is really, really great conversation, Rhonda. I mean, you have given us so much to think about when it comes to a joy. Not just a kind of feeling, but as something we can cultivate, something that we can build. So, from embracing struggle to leaning into creativity, travel, emotional intelligence, and giving back, you have shown us that joy isn't just something that it happens, but it's something we create, we nurture, and we protect. So, that's,
Exactly. And do that with fearlessness.
yes, lovely. Exactly. Exactly. So for everyone who is listening, I mean, I hope that this episode has inspired all of you to find those small and or maybe the big moments of joy in your own life. So whether it's picking up a creativity or kind of creative hobby, reconnecting with your old friends, or simply taking a deep breath and appreciating that where you are right now, joy is within your reach. So before we move, I'll quickly request Rhonda. I mean, if someone wants to connect with you, how they can connect.
They can visit my website, rhondaparkertaylor.com. Rhonda's spelled with an H. Or they can and go to my social medias. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or I guess it's X now, isn't it? And TikTok. So come visit me. I put tips out there of things that that try to inspire you. Some poems sometimes that I've written at different points of life, and sometimes just some fun photos of wildlife or things that I've run into that have brought me joy during the day.
Lovely. That's really, really great. So, if you have loved this conversation, dear listeners, do not forget to share it, tell a friend, leave a review, and be sure to follow Rhonda's work and check out her book, Crossroads, and stay tuned for more incredible episodes of Pleasure Principles. So, until next time, stay curious, stay open, and keep seeking the joy. So, thank you so much. Hi, Rhonda. It's a great conversation again.
Yes, we will keep having them. I keep
Exactly.
finding you on Podmatch different directions.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for your love and support for the episodes. And yeah, we'll keep on doing shows like this.
Okay. I will see.
Okay.
I'll see you and talk to you later. Have a good
Yeah,
day.
and before we leave, I'll quickly request if you just go to Podmatch right now.
Oh, I'm away from my computer. I'll do it. What to
Oh,
go give you? I'll do it as soon as I walk back in there.
perfect, perfect, lovely, great,
Okay.
great. Thank you so much, Rhonda.